Assalamu alaikum. Okay, it's 12:30. We can go live right now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You have your brother Haytham bin Ahmed al-Zakwani, and I'll be your host today for the webinar, inshallah. A very good afternoon to all my colleagues. We are happy to bring forth to you this enlightening session on COVID-19 with the topic of navigating through the pandemic with a healthy lifestyle and a positive thinking, which is now being watched by the entire Ray Group. We have an array of eloquent speakers for you this afternoon, starting with the much sought after, the senior consultant, Dr. Mohammed Al-Riyami, the enterprising general managers, and of course, our visionary GCO. So now, let's start off. For this, I call on Farhan, HSC Manager of Ray Energy, to deliver us the welcoming speech. On to you, Farhan. Can you please unmute your mic? Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this webinar. My name is Mohammad Farhan Jamil. I am HSC Manager, Ray Energy. I appreciate Ray Media support and organizing this webinar on very timely. We are indeed thanks to our Ray Group management who supported to initiate this initiative through this webinar. We have been already passed through this COVID-19 pandemic since 1.5 years, and we have faced a lot of challenges. Even the whole world faced a lot of challenges, and it disrupts the world of work habit also. Still, the health and total well-being of the population is still under retain, and still we have to stay together, we have to support together, and we have to help each other to overcome from this pandemic. And while we are here today, we have to get more information about COVID-19 pandemic and how we can overcome as a team, as a unit from this pandemic, and to learn from our leaders how they have dealt this pandemic because they are the survivors of this pandemic. And also, I would like to give this brief on our COVID-19 journey and the COVID-19 statistics. So ever since this COVID-19 outbreak has been declared by WHO, we as a Ray formed COVID-19 committee, which has been led by our group CEO, Mr. Abdul Razzaq Al-Jakwani. And there we have set the parameters of the preventive measure in our head office as well as site also, with reference to the Ministry of Health and WHO guidelines. We have started to review our preventive measures, and we have started to share our COVID-19 alerts, bulletin, and we have also conducted internal trainings, internal meetings to see the compliance progress in our group of company. And Alhamdulillah, it has went very well, and our employees responded very well. We have also tracked our employees who have been affected with COVID-19 and until they have recovered from the COVID-19. And also we have also tracked for their COVID-19 vaccination. Alhamdulillah, in Ray group of company, almost all of employee got first dose of vaccination, and second dose of vaccination is also in progress, which we are expecting to finish by end of this month. And then we will all have a full vaccination in our group of company. Okay, so today to light on this topic, we have our guest, Mr. Dr. Mohammed Al-Riyami, Senior Consultant, Royal Hospital, our General Manager, Mr. Samir Al-Khurusi, Ray Oil and Gas, who is also one of COVID survivor, Mr. Janesh Sharma, General Manager, Ray Energy, is also one of COVID survivor. And last but not least, our group CEO, Mr. Abdul Razzaq Al-Jakwani, who will share the message of hope. So with this positive note, I will hand over to our host, Mr. Haytham.
Thank you, Farhan, for your time and for your words. Now it's time to listen to the words of experience from Dr. Mohammed Al-Riyami coming from Royal Hospital. He apologizes today for not being able to make it live, but we have already taken a video of him today morning, and then we shall show it to you right now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I would like to thank the organizing committee for invitation. My talk today, I am happy to be with you today to talk about COVID-19. The topic is navigating through the pandemic with positive thought, hope, and healthy lifestyle. My name is Muhammad Riyami. I am one of the consultants from Royal Hospital. As you know, coronavirus first appeared in China and Wuhan at the end of 2019. The virus being named SARS-CoV-2, and the disease it caused named coronavirus disease 2019, abbreviation COVID-19. Coronavirus is large family virus that are common in people and also seen in animal, including camel, cattle, cat, and bats. Before in human, it caused mild disease. Rarely, animal coronavirus can infect people and then spread between people. Seen in three variants of this virus. First, in SARS-CoV-1, which happened in 2003. At that time, pandemic appeared in China and also in Canada. Then we have the MERS COVID, which is the Middle East respiratory syndrome. Appear in some Middle East country like Saudi Arabia, and the source is the camel. Then it is people infected. The SARS-CoV-2 virus is novel strain, meaning that it is new. So the people they don't have immunity for this virus, and some of these people who infected can get very sick. But most of them they get mild disease. How this virus is transmitted is same as seasonal flu virus, spread mainly from person to person by through cough and sneezing by droplet. So this droplet from respiratory secretion, from cough or sneezing, landed in the mucosa of other person, mucosa of the eye and nose or mouth, then it is go inside and cause infection. Or a person contact with a surface, which is that surface already there is COVID-19 there, so the person will contact that surface, then he will contact his face, touch his face and nose and mouth. Other route of spread is through aerosol. This is rare, but it can happen when the person breathing infected particle. It is in the air, then inhale that particle. How long SARS-CoV-2 virus can stay outside the body? Can live in the surface. It's behave like other coronavirus, from few hours to up to days, depending on the condition and the type of surface. But likely that this virus can be killed with simple disinfectant like soap and water, or like alcohol 70%. Also, it can be killed by ultraviolet if you expose that surface with the sun for about 15 to 30 minutes. How about severe symptom? As we mentioned, most of them mild, but there are some emerging warning signs for COVID-19. And if the patient has this symptom, he should go directly to the hospital. This includes difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion and inability to arouse. If the patient has bluish lips or face, he should directly go to the hospital. Who is the people who more likely to become sick? Most people who get very sick, they have other comorbidity, other disease. Patient with heart disease, patient who has lung disease such as asthma or diabetes, or patient who has suppressed immune system, like people who has cancer and who are in cancer medication. Also, elderly people most likely to have severe illness compared to younger. But recently, we noticed that the new variant, the Delta variant, even younger people can get sick and can be admitted to the hospital and to the ICU. Now we'll talk about workplace, how we can protect worker from exposure. So any workplace, they need to, and employer, they should prepare for threat. They have to implement preventive measure and implementing the continuity of operation plan for each threat, not only the coronavirus pandemic, but also for other threats. Most of you know the basic hygiene and social distancing to be done to reduce exposure. This tip should be applied by everyone, which it can take lower and can decrease the chance for becoming sick and for distributing this virus to other colleagues. This step including stay home when sick, wear mask, wash hand, or use sensitizer frequently, especially after coughing, sneezing, or using restroom. Avoid touching your nose, mouth, and eye. Cover when you are coughing or sneezing, you should cover with tissue or even you use your sleeve, and dispose the tissue in the non-touch bin. Avoid close contact with the co-worker and customer. Keep about 6 feet between other people. Stop shaking hand because you can greet someone and still you maintaining social distancing of 6 feet or more. Okay. Also, you can apply basic principle of workplace safety to use combination of strategy to protect worker. Starting with the most effective one, this approach of moving from most effective to least effective protective measure is called hierarchy of control. This could include first step elimination, physically removing the hazard. For example, removing sick or isolating sick people. Substitution, replace the hazard by replacing the sick people by healthy people. Engineering control, isolate people from the hazard. Administrative control, change the way of people work by, for example, working from home. Protecting the worker with personal protective equipment like using face mask, using gloves, and if you are in the hospital, there are special personal protective measures should be used. Other administrative control and work practice to reduce exposure, including enable sick worker to stay at home, establish work from home policy, minimizing contact among workers, discontinue non-essential travel, limiting the number of staff present for high potential exposure task, and also you have to do training which is very important in educating your worker and reduce exposure between worker in the workplace. So the employer should do the following step: provide resource and work environment that promote personal hygiene. For example, supplying tissue, supplying non-touch trash can, supplying hand sensitizer and disinfectant to the worker and in the workplace, and disposable towel for worker to clean their work surface. Also, they should develop procedure to minimize contact between worker between worker and patient and customer. They should provide worker with up-to-date education and training on coronavirus risk factor and method to prevent exposure. Also, they need to adjust policy to reduce exposure. This includes policies that can help to reduce exposure in COVID-19, include encouraging workers who are ill to stay at home without fear of reprisal or loss of pay or benefit. Also, they can during communication they can use email, phone, or teleconference for meeting instead of face-to-face contact. How about what is the role of healthy diet and adequate sleep? Diet and nutrition is very important. We should avoid emotional eating because some people, when they are anxious, they are in stress, they will eat more unhealthy diet, and this can cause more problem, gaining weight, increase stress again, and maybe diabetes, hypertension. So try to avoid this habit. So they can eat whole food like dark, leafy green, orange and tomato, even fresh herbal food, which is loaded with vitamin, fiber, and mineral. Make it habit to eat more whole nutrition food instead of processed snack and fast food. Adequate sleep is very important because abnormal sleep can affect your immune system, can affect the innate and adaptive arm of our body defense system. So it is recommended to have 7 or more hours of sleep per night, if possible. How about, is there any treatment for COVID-19? Unfortunately, there is no specific clear medication or treatment for COVID-19. Treatment only supportive. People who are mildly ill with COVID-19 should isolate themselves at home during illness. But if they have any alarming symptom, they should contact the doctor or they should go straight to the nearest hospital. What about the role of vaccine? In our day now, we have many effective vaccines available. The case of COVID-19 decreased after using of this vaccine. So with administration of the vaccine and continue workplace control in the place, incubation exposure will decrease. People who are vaccinated can still expose and potentially can be still infected and expose potentially other colleague, even if they do not become sick. So they should practice all the preventive measure and social distancing. So we should continue focus on maintaining workplace preventive measure. It's important to protect worker in all workplace and in all industries. In summary, the SARS-CoV-2 virus can cause severe illness in some people. Treatment is supportive, no treatment available until now. People should practice basic hygiene and social distancing to reduce exposure. It is important for the worker to have adequate sleep, healthy eating, exercise, and relaxation. All can reduce stress and improve immunity. Vaccine administration, continue work control, applying basic hygiene measure all can reduce occupation exposure. I hope this time is the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. We hope all of us to go to normal life in near future. Thank you very much for your listening. Thanks.
We appreciate your wise words, Dr. Muhammad. And indeed, it was very informative. And we truly appreciate your insights and advice. And now we have an interactive session where the general managers, Samir Al-Kharousi and Janesh Sharma, will address the audience and share the COVID-19 experiences. For your information, this is an interactive session. Those who are watching on YouTube, if you have any queries to raise, please do so in the chat box, and it will be taken up and answered by the relevant GMs. To start this off, I call on Mr. Samir Al-Kharousi, our General Manager at Ray International Oil and Gas. Honor over to you, Mr. Samir.
Good morning, gentlemen, or I'll say good evening. Salam alaikum. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the insight. Some of the information he has mentioned that is extremely informative, especially when he talked about the minerals and the type of food you should eat when you are with COVID-19. So coming to the navigating COVID-19 throughout the last 1.5 years, definitely this was never the least a shocking experience to many of us. Being us here demonstrates our adaptability as a human species or human being to be able to adapt with all the problems we had. So to begin about my experience with COVID-19, I will talk about the COVID-19 and how it affected our personal lives, specifically being in isolation, having elderly in our family, knowing at any time your mother, your auntie, your grandmother, your father is going to get COVID and most likely has a high percentage of not surviving. Thank God we passed that. A lot of us have lost members in this process. In addition to that, we had team members in the working environment, in the company, that also were going through the same problems, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So it definitely affected the business. Fortunately, we had a good team that worked very hard during the COVID-19, balancing between family, work, isolation, COVID-19, getting sick, and continue to work and ensure that things go as smooth as possible. Because, you know, you add on top of what's going to happen with COVID-19, the business collapses or you lose business, on top of it, you get sick. Another item that people tend to discount is the emotional part of it. A big part of it was being in isolation. When I say isolation, not mainly being 2 weeks quarantine at home, that's a big part. And I'm sure many of us have been through that. So we're not gonna go through it. We all understand how bad it was. I believe isolation was the lack of interaction between people. Now, that had emotional effect in many of us, unable to see friends, relatives who passed that we're not able to go, bury them. You see, that stays a while with you, regardless of the COVID-19, and the vaccine is there, which is a good thing. But it's a lesson learned. You understand how fragile life is. What we came out of it is probably being stronger than we used to be. We understood that things can go haywire very, very fast. Well, alhamdulillah, so far we've managed to overcome it in terms of the personal aspect with it. Coming to the business aspect with it, you had, I will not say chaos, but mainly nobody knew the answers. Nobody knew what's happening. The airports are getting closed. Business has been disrupted. The banks, the government, and I know a lot of people had given the government a big pressure in terms of solving this problem and doing things faster. But unfortunately, it's not only us experiencing this. This is first world countries and third world countries too. In fact, in other circumstances, the biggest, most powerful countries in the world have failed, completely failed, in being able to control this pandemic, where in Oman, we had a little bit of hiccups, but we managed to control it. There was a lot of fear on the future of the business. And unfortunately, last year, a lot of businesses have collapsed due to the pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs. There was a lot of pressure for us being able to sustain and be able to continue in the business. Alhamdulillah, so far we managed to do that. We went through big waves from every aspect of the business. I mean, I can talk for 1 hour, and I believe other GMs and everybody in this webinar can understand what I'm talking about. So I guess that's what I have from my side. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll have Mr. Ganesh and everybody else talk about it. Most likely we'll have the same experience as I did. So please, thank you, gentlemen. Any questions?
Thanks a lot for your speech, Dr. Samir.
Yes, Haitham, can I just intervene for a moment? There is a question raised by Salim Al-Hudayfi. The question is addressed to Samir. Samir, would you be kind enough to answer this question? The question is, as we have done the vaccination, how long do you think should we still be wearing the mask?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, to be honest, but I think I will continue wear the mask, because you can still, I believe the doctor can explain this, you can still have the virus and transmit it to people who don't have the virus. So as far as I'm concerned, I'll be wearing the mask as long as I can.
Thank you so much. One more question has come up addressed to you from Malik Al-Khami. Did the pandemic affect the company and reshape its philosophy in different aspects? And will that change the company's approach in the future?
Good question. As for Ray Oil and Gas, definitely it has changed the company to the future. We have been able to work very efficiently during this pandemic, ensuring that as much as cash has to be kept within the company and be able to run the operation, which was not the case before, within my experience before the pandemic. So we have really put a lot of effort ensuring we found innovative ways of dealing with things and working with suppliers and working with the client, although the client has asked for discount, where if you even spoke about it 2 years ago, you're probably gonna have one answer that we cannot make it. But through our people, to be honestly, I was blessed to have a very good team around me that worked very, very hard to ensure this. I can only add value to support them in their needs, but in terms of reaching the targets and the objective of the company, I honestly give the credit to the people who are, my head of divisions, the people worked very hard through this pandemic and through this hard time. But definitely has reshaped how we do things, understanding that nothing is for granted. We are going to take future actions starting from now. One example of this is that we are working on understanding, example, our cash flow, our revenues, not only 2-3 months ahead, 12 months ahead, in case something similar to this happens again or that almost collapse the company. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope that answered the question.
You did. It was quite well explained as well. I'm happy to hear that from you. Over to you, Haitham. You can carry on with the next event program.
Thank you, Samir, for your wise words. I think a lot of people have benefited from your speech there. And thanks for addressing the concerns of our people as well. And now we should move on to Mr. Janesh Sharma, our General Manager at Ray International Energy. Over to you, Janesh.
First of all, good morning to all of you, and thank you for making me a part of this webinar. This is a wonderful initiative initiated by our company under the leadership of Mr. Abdul Razak. So thanks a lot for this. And I believe that within this webinar, we can share very important insights. So I'll first start with my experience of COVID. Samir has covered most of the part when it comes to industry and how the company as a whole coped with it. So the very first thing when we talk about the COVID is how you take it. This is a pandemic, and pandemic has a nature to repeat itself every 100 years. This is not something new to the world. Yes, it will be new to many generations. But if you go to the history, it was there in 1898, I believe, 1798. Then it again came in the 1922 through Denver flu, and it has again struck almost after the 100 year in a new form. And whenever something novel, as esteemed doctor from Royal Hospital has correctly put it, it's a novel virus, and then something is novel, it means we do not know anything about it. And when you do not know anything about it, the medical science is always behind and virus is always ahead of you. So there's, always a gap, and that gap is what, create the panic, create the a hell lot of trouble to everybody. So when I got the COVID, the very first thing which came into my mind was, to be mentally very strong. Now, we all live in different circumstances, like, few have a compromised body condition, few are healthy. But as far as COVID is concerned, there's not any definitive science which tells, how it is going to impact your system. So very first thing which I emphasized and which I would like to share with all the audiences is the state of your mental health, how strong you are inside, how you are taking it. And because there's a direct correlation between your mental health and the immune response. The more suppressed you are, more depressed you are, more stressed you are, naturally, those types of enzymes and hormones get released by the brain, and it affects your body as a whole. So it becomes very important for everybody to take it, not as if something it is going to hurt you in a big way, but as something which needs to be managed. We cannot sit on it as long as soon as we get the symptom. One should never delay to get themselves checked, because there have been many stories where people have taken it as a normal flu, taken their own sweet time, and by that time, the nature of the virus is it multiplies like even not exponential. I'll call it a spiral. In a spiral, when you go one step down, the other step will take you multiple times down further. So don't waste the time. If you have any symptoms, immediately go and get yourself tested. Until the test results are there, keep yourself in isolation, because it is so contagious that it spreads like, even the wildfire is not a sufficient word to, right word to put it here. So it spreads very fast. So it is something which is not only important for your well-being of your family, but also well-being of everybody around you. So it becomes like a moral responsibility, ethical responsibility, social responsibility, call it a national responsibility. As soon as you get any symptoms, immediately please consult the doctor. Immediately please get yourself tested. And if you are positive, don't take it as the end of the world. It is all about the disease management. And of course, there are no medicines as such to cure it. But like any virus, in the world, they come and go by their cycle in the body. So with the virus, it is always like, how well you are managing your disease. You have to be mentally healthy. You have to take a proper food. Sleep is very important. And you have to believe. You have to have a firm belief in yourself that you are going to overcome it. Because 14 days of isolation is really something very tricky, because when you are dealing it within the four walls, there is a lot of things which goes inside your brain, the insecurities, what is going to happen next day. So I would like to just share my advice with all of you that don't think much about these things. Try to get yourself engaged. As long as your body allows, be mobile. Don't static yourselves to or confine yourself to bed as if you are severely sick. As long as your body allow, be mobile a bit, and keep on doing your regular activities, whatever your body is allowing it to you. Keep proper hydration in the body, take the proper food, sleep on time, and definitely keep consulting the doctor. Do not take it on your own self that like you are your own doctor. No, this is not like you can treat it. Any changes you face, there are the facilities to be consulted, to tell about your symptoms so that the right treatment can be taken at the right time. The timing is the essence of curing this disease. If you take these steps at the right time, you are out of it. If you prolong your treatment, then it can bite you like anything. So the most important thing is get yourself tested, do what the doctor says. Don't think that this is going to damage you big time. Don't bring those negative thoughts in your mind, and keep the healthy habits going. And as the data shows, almost 97.5%, if I'm not wrong, statistically, the people come out of it. So there is a way, there is a hope, and one can always survive it. Now with the vaccination is there, one should never avoid the vaccination, because this is the only line of defense available in the world against this COVID-19 virus. There is no other alternate. If we talk at this point of time, this is the only thing which is going to prevent it to a large extent. And as any virus is, I'm not an expert, but this is what I read and what I understood. Normally, most of the virus, when they come into the world, they live in the world. And we need to coexist with them. We have to change our habits. And the human race goes through an entire chain of the changes in terms of their habits, in terms of following the different social norms. And automatically, as we all are blessed, the God has blessed everybody, that your body adopt with the new changes over a period of time. So this virus is just 1.5 years old, maybe sometime, some more time down the line, our body will get adjusted to it. But at the same time, whatever has been told by the competent authorities or whatever they are telling in the goods of the people, like maintaining the proper hygiene, like washing your hand properly, do not touch anything which is not required to be touched. Avoid unnecessary contacts, keep social distancing, wear the mask. And once you are vaccinated, I think you are protecting yourself to a large extent. So I think there's a ray of hope, and I think the life is changing towards the positive. There are the good developments recently. We can see the cases coming down, and the world is again opening up. So these all are the good signs, but these all good signs remain as long as we are disciplined and we are ensuring we are doing what is required to be done. So that's all from my side. And I wish everybody all the best. But with just one message, please don't avoid the vaccination. Take it as soon as possible. Don't avoid social distancing. Wear the mask. Clean your hands. Just remember, it is not about you. It is about your family. It is about your colleagues. We all live together. It is a world where this virus has started with just a couple of people, and now see how fast it has multiplied. So we have to keep it in our mind, and as long as we are responsible, I think there is nothing which cannot be fought against, and there is no battle which cannot be won. That's all what I want to say.
Thanks, Janesh, for your wise words. I think Sulata might have some questions. Yes.
Hi, Tom. Yes, I would like to raise a few questions to Janesh. Janesh, the first question has been raised by our group IT head Manoj, and he has asked of you, how do you envisage the future workplace to be for the people?
I think there is nothing. See, with the vaccination taking in place, and with the culture of if we are sitting in the open, in the spaces which are constrained, which which have a lesser distance between each other, then I say that the masks are very important. And definitely in the future, I'll not say that all the offices will undergo a major change, because I believe that over a period of time, the human will become accustomed with this virus. And this virus will just become like a flu. But as long as that this thing is not happening, within whatever the facilities we are having, the best solution within the workplace is wear your mask, do not meet the people unnecessarily. And as our offices are also having that, we have a proper seating arrangement, the gaps are maintained, everybody has to maintain it. That's how I see in the future.
Thank you, Janesh. There is one more question which has come from Salim Al-Hudayfi. We have heard about the third wave. Are we prepared for this?
It's a very difficult question for me, actually, to be honest, to predict about the third wave. But I can definitely say the world is much, much, much better prepared for the third wave than they were for the second wave, as long as there are no mutations which are going to, defeat the vaccine. Because like all the human evolve, they change themselves as per the environment. Virus have the same tendency. They also undergo to the different changes. They also become immune because they are living organisms. They also know, they are also changing themselves with the time. So I believe whatever the variants are known, as per my knowledge, the vaccines are good enough, along with all the social distancing, mask and hand washing, to cope with it. And with two waves has already seen a lot of damages. The infrastructure is much better prepared. The people are more conscious. So I think the preparedness for the third wave is much, much, much better. By God's grace, I believe it will not come. Even if it comes, I think the world is much better place to fight against it.
Well answered, Ganesh. It's pretty clear, very well explained. There is another question which is again mask related. I think it should be answered by a doctor, but at least from your experience and from what we all have gathered from medical journal reading and all that. The question is this, probably you can answer this. What is the safest period for wearing a mask? This was raised by Suleiman Al-Sabari.
Safest, see, as far as the study goes, the masks do not cause any damages. There have been initially when the people started to wear the mask, and there have been the apprehension that there might be, we may be getting into any other diseases, some obstruction to our breathing and everything. But medically, what I have heard and what I have read that, even through experiment of oximeter also, it has been proven that it is not going to suppress as far as your respiratory system is. So with mask, the most important thing is the cleanliness of the mask. People use the mask, but they should understand the science and the art to handle it. Because if you do not handle the mask properly, then it is an incubator of the virus. So if you are wearing the mask, don't touch it frequently. Do not put it at any dirty place or at an unwanted place. And mask should be wear as long as you are exposed. As simple as this.
Great. Thank you so much. Now the next question is addressed to both the GMs. So you can answer this first and then I will pass it on to Samir also. The question is, the employee vaccination is going on in full swing, and we are all ready to come back to office and resume work as well in full swing. But the question is the office well equipped to accommodate all the people starting from the coming week?
Yeah, I'll answer this question. See, when it comes to our self-defense, what we call being well equipped. The well-equipment journey starts from the person itself. Whether the person is taking care of his own immunity, whether the person is keeping his immune system well injected, that is the part number one. Because journey starts from your own immunity, taking the proper food, proper hydration. Now you are coming to the work. You are at a workplace. Your workplace is well ventilated. If you have a proper ventilation, And if you have, again, to repeat the same thing, if you are wearing the mask and you are vaccinated, then the workplace are absolutely safe. And that's why, I mean, the competent authorities are allowed to start the work from in full swing with a full attendance, I believe, from the 1st of October. So I very much feel that the workplace are pretty much equipped, pretty much ready. But the underlining thing, once again, here is if you are not prepared to what you have been told to take care about yourself, then there is no protection which is going to protect you.
So in effect, suffice to say, self-protection is the best protection ever.
Self-protection is the best protection, and there is no doubt about it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ganesh. Over to you, Samir. Could you answer that question?
Oops, here you go. Yeah, sure. Definitely. I mean, the workplace has been equipped since before the virus, and the idea of the vaccination is for us to come back to work at full steam. And this is why herd immunity is very important. If you notice that even flus have been reduced in the last 2 years, not much flu is going on. And I believe the #1 contribution was our interactions as guys. For example, we hug each other, we kiss in the chin. I think that has become extremely awkward situation to be in right now. Nobody kisses anybody in the chin or the that is about. I think that will change forever. But I believe work will go back as usual. It should go back as usual. That's the whole idea of vaccination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samir. That's the end of the questionnaire session. Nothing new has come up in the chat box. So over to you, Haitham. You can continue. Thank you.
Thank you all, Salata, for being the person in between, and Samir and Janesh for your wise words. And I'm sure people have benefited from your words and your experiences. The next speaker in our line is our visionary leader, our very own GCO, Mr. Abdulrazak Zakwani. A familiar face and a familiar name, a champion of Ray growth and establishment. He will now give us a message of hope. Over to you, sir. Mr. Abdulrazak, you can take over.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks, Haitham, for that introduction. I thought I'm going to sing after that introduction. Just before I start, I would like to address the last question, which was just asked about coming back to office. One of my topic or my speech is like coming back to school. We have to accept that there is coming back to office very soon. And indeed, we have a lot of parameters we are running. Like before, understand that cleanliness. I think I'm hearing a background. Someone is not. Ganesh, maybe. Yeah. Hello. So the hygiene of the office, which is changed dramatically since the beginning of COVID. If you remember, when we were in Ghala office, we would have a deep cleaning once a week, and then the routine cleaning on daily basis. That's have changed. Today we have deep cleaning on daily basis, and we are now reconsidering even creating night shifts for office boys to clean at night thoroughly before the offices are opening in the morning, and keeping permanent employees near the restrooms and all that. So at currently, yesterday I received this paper, which is office hygiene rules introduced by the administration team. As my colleagues Ganesh and Samir are talking, the company is not Ray as a name. The company is all of us. So for us to really keep hygiene, we all have to practice, and we all have to care each other. We all have to keep our places clean. Yes, we have resources to help us in that cleanliness, but it's not only their job. It's also our job to try to keep as much as possible a clean environment. leaving a place behind you should make sure that it's clean for the other person to come and be safe in that environment. So I think this will be a support for all of us. And I really beg everyone to maintain hygiene to the highest standard. Like your home, this is our second home, and we have to respect it. So going back to my message, I think I was told today my main thing is to give hope. And hope, basically, I will start with saying, with this pandemic, we would need courage. As a lot of the doctors, Ganesh and Samir, panic do not help us in any way. Once you panic, you do not think straight. So I have this incident when we started the committee on our own, COVID committee in Ray. The first thing, we started making a shift between 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock and 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, then 6 o'clock. And I remember getting a question on the first day of this shift that, sir, you said there is no lunchtime. It's directly 8 to 1 and 1 to 6. So how we will have lunch? He said, then have it at home when you leave at 1. And before coming at 1, if you're in the other shift, have your lunch and come. The reason I cannot call this a stupid question, because the panic will react to this type of questions. The panic will react to any type of questions. But when you have courage, you start thinking straight. You start thinking, what are the real scenarios which I can put to overcome whatever we have? So how do you get courage? We need hope for that. And if we don't have hope, then there's no courage. And if you don't have courage, then everything will be a disaster. So this is my short message to say that maybe having hope will give you courage. And I will phrase that as one of our phrases today for having hope for going in future. But I would like to first also say something. A century ago, this is 1918, I'm sure a lot of you guys have read about the Spanish flu. If you see the statistics, okay, the same pattern almost repeated after 100 years. It started in 1918 when the World War was ending. People were coming back to their homes. War was completing, people are happy, gatherings were happening, and Spanish flu was the time which impacted people. And it went all over from 1918 to 1920. And similar, there was a first wave which hit and then it stopped. Then a second wave was even farther and heavier. So we see a trend where 100 years ago, something like this happened. But what I could say and hope which we have today is that the technology we have today and the education we have today is way far than the technologies which our great-grandfathers had in 1918. And if I tell you today, even if you search, you will not get exact number of how many people died in 1918. They will be giving you statistic like from 20 million to 100 million. So imagine the gap. 80 million is lost in numbers. These are human beings. But today, we have accuracy of almost 99% of how many deaths are happening around the world. And everyone has to share this in a common goal together around the world. These are not normal circumstances. World war fighting years ago, everyone was trying to be the hero. But today, because of pandemic, it also shows that we can also come together and work on a common goal. And this is what it's preparing us, and the changes which we are allowed to come to, the pandemic and the COVID-19 is making us to come to this type of environment. We have to be together, we have to help each other, we have to care to one another. Now, I remember this, I was told, I actually did not know the word quarantine, what it means before 2020. Although I loved vocabularies, but when I had quarantine, I thought the word is familiar because I hear it in the movies and in the songs and this. But it was, it's familiar, but I really did not understand the meaning of it. So today, you get a word which was unpopular 2 years ago and very popular today. It just shows how the drift of COVID is happening. Okay, this is word, but a lot of drifts. Technology world, in digital world, just was accelerated maybe 5 to 10 years before. There were things which we thought we will be doing the next 5 years or 10 years. It immediately had to happen. And that's the amazing thing of our species. Our species is designed into improvise, to design into finding solutions. We are not here just to breathe, eat, die. We are here also to improvise, to keep our environment a better place. So these are the things which the pandemic is bringing, apart from the negativities which we have. We had a lot of challenges. Ray, unfortunately, lost one person in 2020. It was a very sad story where we had to call the family members to tell that their father and the husband is not well and he is in ICU. And then another call to inform them that the family member has passed away and he has to be buried or cremated in the country. So they couldn't see their family member. Imagine. And the sad part was this guy resigned, panicking that I have to go back to my family because I am panicking to stay in Oman. While he's coming from the field back to Muscat, he got COVID, and directly from a day, he went to the room. We tested him. He was COVID positive. We sent him to hospital, directly to ICU, and we never saw him. And this is the sad part of what happens to COVID. And there are a lot of other stories. There are homes which every family member disappeared. There are some who are expected to have severe symptoms, very old people, but they survived it. And there are young guys, very healthy, who thought they could fight it, but passed away. So it was an unpredictable event which no one could predict how it will be treated, what will happen, but we had to face it and we had to give courage among ourselves to move on. This is where we are today. Now, I'd like to add one thing that I know there are a lot of religions in the planet. There are people who also don't believe God, but I think this is a big learning for us. If someone does not believe God till today, then something is wrong. You didn't learn, basically, because I don't think there is science who will create, even if it is man-made, then God, this is something which at the end, we have to agree that God will choose someone who will die and who will not. And we have seen it openly that there are people who you will not believe how he survived because he was already in ICU when he got COVID, but he survives it. And there are people who are, they are very healthy and they couldn't. And this is the way of life. And for us, it's just pray to God, trust in God, and we move on. And we just have to be protective to one another and ourselves and our family and have that hope that we are going to get this better. I just wanted also to explain one thing. In the beginning, when it started, maybe I'll share a story so you can understand where I'm going to this story. When I went to visit my grandfather in March 2020, those were the first days of COVID. Okay, and I was apologizing to my grandfather that I cannot come regularly because I'm fearful for your own health and mine, but mainly for you because you are already almost 90. And he thought it was the rubbish thing I would say to him. If you don't want to come to see me, it's okay, but don't explain too many stories. This was his type of, he did not understand it. Then after a week, I go back and greet him. And then he tells me this, you are right. And I said, what made you believe it? And he said, in my 90 years, I have never seen mosques, churches, and this getting closed. These are good places, you have to go and pray. And for the first time, it is openly announced that the whole world, mosques, churches, schools, these are closed. So this is very serious. So imagine he had his own way to believe. For us, it's a social media. I read a WhatsApp and this, and I start finding facts and I believe. For them, it's a link of the reality. Reality is happening, then yes, that's true. Reality doesn't happen, then that's not true. And we have faced that, I'm sure, a lot of families. We ended up missing the things which we thought maybe they are not important. We used to take for granted to visit families. Maybe it's not important. I will send a WhatsApp call, or I'll just call my father. I'll just call. But it reached a time that you would wish you could visit, but you can't. The 8 holidays which were just recently announced, you're locked up in your house. You could not do anything, and that's the time you would feel, okay, what's the precious thing to have family together? So you come back to office, the similar pattern. There are colleagues which you will not meet maybe. This colleague comes in the morning and the other colleague comes out in the afternoon. And you would wish to have that colleague, that's the environment we created before. But now there is a different environment which we have created. And tomorrow there will be a different environment which is going to come. So what I'm trying to say is, like Ganesh was saying, this is a species which is now with us and it has to live with us. It's the same thing as when you get married. In the beginning, there is that chemical bond you and your wife, or wife and husband. The first year there is that friction of you understanding the other. Until you understand each other, it would take a year or two. And most of scientific proven, you tell the worst time is the first 1 or 2 years. After that, then you stay longer, but you have to be patient on these first 2 years. And this is like a wife now. It's COVID is with us, and we have to stay with it, and we have to find a way to live with it. And then we have to tell him that now you have to live with us also. We took our shots, and we are trying to be the most hygiene people in the universe than before. I don't even remember who I used to hug before, who I used to kiss before, who I used to shake hands. Now it's just a punch or assalamu alaikum. We have different habits of this. I remember we go to Balad and Hashmek, and for the Omani guys, and you kiss with your noses, and that was the most dangerous thing you could do now. And before, that was the best thing you could do to your loved ones. Yeah. So it's a change which has really happened. We have to live with it, and we have to go away from it and understand it. In 100 years to come, people might not remember that people were shaking hands. Maybe we don't know how things will turn around. Today we know because we are in this generation. After a generation or two, maybe there are some things which will disappear as culture, and it will be just a story in books that yes, there were people 100 years ago, people used to hug, or people used to kiss, and people say, oh, it was a wife. No. Even other people, they used to hug. Now it's very rare. you know what we used to do, but going forward, there will be things which we will miss and we'll have to understand it. And that's what when we come back to office, there will be the beginning of like a child going to school. There are children who are so excited going back to school. And there are children who tell you in the first day, Baba, my stomach is paining, you know, and that pain is basically, I don't want to go to school. So we will get those, we have to understand it. And but at the end, we are just blessed we are in this level, and we are praying and hoping that we get to a better level going forward. So thank you very much. I really, really thank the team who hosted this, the General Manager, Dr. Mohammed Al-Riyami, the audience who are watching this. The main thing for this is for us to know that we are all together. I apologize to the site team. In January 2022, I established a management tour so that I can rotate all the fields and see in person people. But I'm sure people who know me, they will know that I have a sleep apnea and I have a breathing problem. It will be a very big risk for me to go and, you know, travel a lot, and it is not healthy for me. But inshallah, I think I'm really eager things get back to normal a bit, and I could come and see face to face the people at sites. And I would have wished this summer to test the summertime in the field. Yeah. So thank you all, and inshallah we will do more of this. And please share your opinions. Please give courage to your family, to your colleagues, subordinates, everyone. All of us makes Ray. I'm not Ray, nor the shareholders are Ray, not any manager is Ray. We are all Ray. Now, when we blame Ray, basically we are blaming each other. We are the only one who can make it better. And please, if you have any good suggestion, innovative suggestion, please put it in front, and we will reconsider, and we'll try to. We've reached this far because of those ideas, yeah. And we believe with more ideas, we will further make it even better. Thank you so much. God bless you, inshallah.
Thank you.
This was amazing, Mr. Abdulrazak, our group CEO. And I think this was way more than what we expected. And thank you for that. And maybe Salata has some questions. Yeah?
Yes, this is a question addressed to Janesh, and it has come from Saravana Kumar, project engineer, live line. His question is about the usage of pantry now that we are going to be fully operational from October 1st. He has brought it to the table that using the pantry during full attendance will be challenging. What kind of arrangements will be made? Do you want to take this question, Ganesh, or would you want to pass it on to administration manager at a later stage? Up to you, your call. Can't hear you, Ganesh. Unmute yourself, please.
Janesh, you're muted. The microphone.
Yeah. So I think, see, this is a question which can be better answered by administration, but what I understood out of my knowledge is when we move to this office, we have a place, you know, which can facilitate people taking the lunch. It is on a different floor, and which will also ensure the full social distancing. And I think Mr. Saravana Kumar can definitely float his query to administration because they can guide it better. But certainly, you know, with the lunch timing coming into the picture, we will have provision for it adequately. And when we moved to this office, we already had this provision.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, for that answer. I hope it satisfies Saravana Kumar. Well, there is a question raised to GCEO, although he is not part of the interactive session. I have checked with him and he is more than happy to take that question. The question was initially raised by Al-Khami, Malik Al-Khami, and it is now again being taken up by Sulaiman Al-Sabari, Adversary Group CEO. The question is, did the pandemic affect the group? Did it reshape our philosophy? And now, did those changes overall affect the company and its approaches for the future?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I think this question goes to every business and every company around the world. Yeah. One, I can tell you, I think everyone remembers just before when I entered in 2019, how difficulties we were having in the group. And it is not something we can hide. It was the reality where things were tough and strikes were happening, salaries were delayed, and it was not easy. And we have restructured within 3 months in 2019. We had a proper vision. We made a roadmap in 2020. January, I sent a message that we will concentrate in 2020 to understand our gaps, so where we are bleeding and improve. And then 2021 is the growth year. What I can say is statistically, I would say we are one lucky company. Luck is not a good thing to say in businesses because we don't believe in luck in businesses. It's the effort which everyone here, Ray Energy, Ray Oil and Gas, Ray Insurance, Ray Skills, all the group companies have really done their best to maintain what we had. But what I really like is I think we did even much better than even pre-pandemic. I'm sure everyone feels it. Maybe, yes, we couldn't reach our heights. Things were not that easy. We were planning even to explore in 2021. That was our strategy. We wanted everyone to know Ray in 2021. By 2022, we go geographically. But because we put a very high standard, we thank God that we are blessed not to reach those standard 100%, but 50% of that standard is still better than majority of the companies. I go to banks, I take analysis from other competitors, and believe me, we are one of the best company currently in Oman. This is not best maybe because of profitability and this. The turnaround, we were coming from a different slope to a different slope. One slope was going downwards in 2019 and no one was having hope at that time. And by us, ourselves, what I say always is the team is not me or anyone or the managers, it's all of us. When we put the hope together and courage, we put a slope which is going upwards. Now, we've recently checked, for example, Schlumberger statistics. With Schlumberger statistics, Schlumberger dropped their global revenue around 35%. I would like to tell you in 2020, compared to, we cannot compare ourselves to Schlumberger, but statistic-wise, yes, because at the end it's a percentage. I will tell you that we just were almost the same as 2019, but our costs were reduced based on costs. So we made not profit, but almost break even, while we were making losses years ago. In 2021, we are growing. Okay, the growth, I push the managers a lot. I know sometimes I stress them to their core, but that growth, we need it as Ray to go back to awarding people. Today, it's not only about salaries, it's about development, it's about training, it's about bonuses, it's about a full reward package. And I believe we will reach there. But how the pandemic adjusted with us, there were goods and bads. Alhamdulillah, based on his vision and His Majesty, central bank pushed the deferment of loans. So we got blessed there to save our money to focus on some growth within us. Now we were almost trying to get a loan to put more infrastructure in our business. That couldn't happen because all banks were exhausted already. But now we see a light in the tunnel, because after seeing 2020 financials, banks are coming to say, okay, something is working better. They can see the trend. Now, are we affected compared to the plan? Definitely yes. We did not reach the plan which we were seeking for. But are we doing better? Definitely much better than 2019 for 2020, and much better 2021 than 2020. Now that gives you a hope that whatever you guys are trying to do, whatever efforts you guys are putting in, it's paying off. And the more we do this, I promise you, the better we can be. We were challenged before because we are more of Omani companies. Maybe Omanis cannot handle the jobs. I think we could prove we could all work together and change and show the best out of our own abilities. Yeah. We did not change. Hardly 5% of the population left, and the new 5% came in. But majority are the same people. So what changed? We just changed the management style, our environment, and having that hope that we can do better. And today, that's what we are today. And I want always to emphasize that this is the direction we have to go. Let's not see the disadvantage of our colleague, that he is not better. Go and help him to come up to your level. We are not, I'm trying to break that idea of, oh, you know, we've received this a lot in my past, in the beginning when I come. Oh, this guy is not doing it, this guy is not doing it. Said, then you are also not a hero, because you are alone. Ray is not alone. Ray is a group of people working together. So if you see someone is lacking, go offer him a hand. It's not a problem. Tomorrow, he will offer you a hand. And together, that gestures will only make us prevail better. So I hope I answered the question. And if there is anything, please raise it up. We will we'll make more of this, and I could address it independently, inshallah.
Thank you so much for taking that question and also answering it with clarity and dexterity. We truly appreciate. And of this topic, I would also like to say we really enjoyed your likening, the metaphor used, likening COVID-19 to your wife, with whom you have to coexist no matter what. So that was really on a lighter note. Thank you so much for participating and throwing some light into your insights of how the company will shape up for the future. Over to you, Haitham. And before that, there is a question raised from, it's not a question, suggestion from Rimna Rashid. She has suggested that we conduct more of webinars looking at soft skill training programs, of soft skill oriented webinars, which I think we will be doing in the coming days. As a team, we will work together towards that. All your support and participation is much, much appreciated. Over to you, Haitham. Please take it over.
Indeed. Thank you, Salata. And thank you again, Mr. Abdulrazak, for your wise words. Now, everything has to come to an end. Now it's time for the vote of thanks. And for this, allow me to call on my good friend from the Communication and Media Department, Mr. Hisham Al-Riyami. Over to you.
Thanks, Haitham. Thanks very much. Dear chief guests, speakers, and colleagues, all of us from the Communication and Media Department sincerely hope that every one of you had enlightening and inspiring session this afternoon. This session was very informative, throwing light into the medical side of the region pandemic, thanks to the participation of Dr. Muhammad Al-Riyami, eminent doctor and senior consultant. Despite the tight schedule, he made time for us today and joined us on this live session. On behalf of Ray Group, I express our gratitude and thankfulness to him. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. The only way to overcome these tough days is through positive living, hoping for the best. The message of hope by the group's CEO, Mr. Abdulrazak Zakwani, was an eye-opener. I am sure all of us at Rage Group shall take home valuable lessons from this message. Our sincere thanks to you, sir. The general managers of Ray International Energy and Ray Oil and Gas, Mr. Janesh Sharma and Mr. Samir Al-Kharouzi, were more than willing to impart to us their experiences, having lived through the difficulties of COVID-19. And this insights from COVID survivors surely helps a great deal in instilling courage in our hearts to overcome it with positivism and healthy life. In the name of all Ray colleagues, a hearty thank you to the general managers. The webinars is the start of a new chapter. We'll be having more of these educational webinars in the coming days and months, and it was simply made possible by the communication and media team, working together with the help of group, IT, finance, and admin. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity today. I wish everyone all the very best. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much. Thank you to the general manager.
Thank you, Hisham. Well, with this, we have to come to the close of this session. Thank you all for watching the show and making it a success. As we all know, we are hosting a webinar for the first time. There would have been some glitches and omissions, but thank you for bearing with us, and we will surely be back again with more. This is Haytham Zakwani signing off. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching the show.